This is To Wit, a podcast for women in tech doing life. I'm Kristi Guzman.
And I'm Melinda Smith. Hey, Kristi.
Hi, Melinda.
Special episode.
Today, we're going to have an awesome chat with Gillian Madill, who has her own co-hosting podcast role with the Awesome Admin Podcast. And I'm super excited to learn more about her.
I'm very excited. Plus the couple questions I know that I've never heard her answer. So I'm excited to get to those. But before we do, Dreamfest is very close. I'm very, very excited about it. Per usual, I actually had a dress made for the gala night in Dreamforce blue and polka dots, because polka dots are kind of my thing.
Because of course you did.
Of course I did. So my question hot topic today is, so I went to go to the agenda builder and start marking things, but I have a new job.
Oh, do you?
Yes. I start the 15th technically, so I am at a loss. I don't even know where to begin. I started to mark things, and I realized I had saved and bookmarked 14 sessions, and I was still in the letter A. So I thought maybe I should regroup. What is your tactic for building or for bookmarking?
That is a great question. I have been trying to keep track of people that I know and like that are hosting sessions that relate to where I'm at. So that's kind of how I started, actually reminding myself to get in to bookmark and sign up for things. I think the hands-on trainings are key. So if there's any of those that are on your radar, to really focus on picking those. And then I think, honestly, my schedule is super full even without sessions. So I'm trying to prioritize and remind myself that maybe 1 or 2 sessions a day is enough. Maybe no sessions in a day, depending on how that day goes, is enough. And so many of these resources are going to be available after the fact. So making sure that I'm either seeing the people or some of the specific sessions that I want, as well as really trying to narrow in on like what I'm trying to learn. So I'm still in that admin bridging to developer, the kind of dangerous zone between the two. So what kind of sessions can I target? David Liu's got a great one. Some things about more advanced automation with Jennifer Lee and Rakesh and David Litton. I'm like, where is that coming from? So, focusing on those specific areas, as well as a handful of things that are completely outside my wheelhouse, just to make sure that, we've talked before about how kind of exposure to those things can help for when you do finally need them. So are you using any of the training filters, or you're going straightly alphabetical?
Well, hands-on training is like absolutely, like you said, if I did nothing, if I went to no sessions and I filled my Dreamforce time with hands-on training, I'm going to love it. So I am going way out of my wheelhouse because I'm going from strict admin to consultant. So I'm doing intro to Apex for admins, more on reports. I feel like you can constantly get more tutorials and more instruction on reports. And so I tried to fill it with that, but I went from a track or a small design for admins to my bucket is everything now, and I really should know everything. Now I'm going to have to walk the trade show floor, not just for swag, but like I actually need to pay attention
for some actual content.
These new people out there. So I have a whole bag full of tricks for my potential customers. So I'm actually super flippin' excited, but I've never had this this thought process on how much can I shove in. But I have been enough to know, like you said, do not try and fit 5-6 sessions in a day. It's going to have to be 2 or 3. And the people and the contacts and meetups is going to be a little more important than the sessions that you can find online later.
Well, and I think it's great that you had posted an event for Monday afternoon before the Women in Tech meeting of, let's start out and hang out a little bit. If you want to meet me, I'll be here. And then maybe it'll all change because people will tell you of other sessions that, you can't be missed. So I think keeping an open mind is going to be one of the keys to success.
Yeah, I was already doing that. Oh my gosh, we should totally meet up at Dreamforce. Or, oh yeah, let's talk about that at Dreamforce. And I said, I know that pitfall. I know I do it all the time. So I thought, well, there's a Women in Tech event usually sponsored by or put on by Salesforce or FemForce within Salesforce. I don't know the details. I think it's at 6:00 on Monday or that Monday. So I thought, well, they just redid the lobby at my hotel, the Hilton Union Square. There's a bar. Let's just meet there. And I put my face on it, like, look for this face if you don't know this face. And we can hang and hug it out. And then at least the people that you want to hug, you got to. And if the rest of the week gets away from you, then, such as Dreamforce.
That's right. I think another thing that's my super fave right now that I don't know that there's sessions for at Dreamforce, but if there's not, then hopefully I'll find things that'll help or plant the seed of an idea. Have you ever heard of declarative lookup rollup summaries?
Declarative lookup rollup summaries. I feel like this is a tongue twister, a brain teaser.
Right? Hashtag DLRS. So this is an awesome tool that was something, again, that someone needed and developed and then shared with the world, which is just wonderful. And of course, I'm going to space out on talking about who it was right now. I want to say it's Andy Fawcett. And it allows you to do roll-up summaries for things that are not master detail. So this is something I have had on my radar. I saw a great session about it at Forcelandia, and I was able to use it. We're trying to automate some things around our closed won processes, and I was able to use it to roll up the number of active licenses from the license management object that partners use onto an account. So I can see at closed won if someone already has an active install in their production environment, or if I need to create a case to have our support team do that. So, anytime you've wanted a roll-up summary and just couldn't quite get it, it's an awesome, quick package to deploy that then gives you a nice UI to be able to do those things that builds the triggers that I think are what stop you a lot of times from being able to do that. So, yeah.
And we will link to that in the show notes because I am interested in installing that as well.
Well, we sure will. Before we chat with Gillian, our Let's Get to Know You question of the day is about, we're traveling for Dreamforce, so I had travel in mind. I was thinking, what's one of your favorite trips that you ever took?
Oh, man. I love to spend all my money on travel. It has changed a little now with being married and a kid because you do have to feed them like every day. So I can't. You are married to a pilot
though, so that helps.
This is true. So he has taken us around California. Gosh, favorite trips. The first one that comes to mind would be Italy or Costa Rica. I loved both of those trips because they were so in it. I was in a small town or I was in a small village, and it was very much off the beaten path, away from a lot of the touristy stuff. I felt very youth hostel type situation. I met a lot of locals and ate a lot of local food, and I fell in love with the Italian people, and they talk with their hands and they're warm and inviting, and people will just approach you on the street to go for a walk. And I love that, which is funny because here I would probably hit somebody with my bag in LA. I'd be like, no way. Don't get away from me. Right.
That is interesting how your mentality changes.
Absolutely. I feel like you're just a lot more accepting and open to kind of the weird nuances of human interaction when you're not on your guard on vacation. At least I am. And my husband likes to travel the same way. We like to do the off beaten path stuff. We like to get in and get to know the locals. What's your favorite trip?
I think I'm going to go with my wedding. Or that whole week or 2 weeks really. So we got married in the Dominican Republic.
Ooh.
And in Punta Cana, and part of the reason we did it, we had 30 people come, and it was so great to spend time with them aside from just the wedding. There's so much happening, that, 4 to 5 hour window, that it was just great. The day before, we went and rode dune buggies. We, got to drink in the pool together and wait for everyone to show up. And then they walk up and it's like, hey, everyone's so excited. And, we got to just be with everybody for a few days. And then they all left and we got to be on the beach and go over to Puerto Rico to visit some of my husband's family. And then we went on a cruise for a week. So it really just was like the longest trip probably I'll take, but it was great to have a variety of people and a variety of types of experiences that I think were pretty awesome. So
that sounds amazing. I want to go to the Dominican. I love anything island too.
Yeah, we've been on a cruising bout, but I think we're gonna.
I love cruises. I know people talk trash about them, but I love them. I've been on 5 or 6, the Southern Caribbean, the Hawaiian Islands. I did the quick one out of New Orleans. So you cruise down the Mississippi into the Gulf. I adore cruises. I think they're a ton of fun. I think that you get access to a lot of fun locations. I love that there's stuff to do on the boat all the time. And by stuff, I mean food. There's food 24/7, and it's my favorite. You can have soft serve at 3 a.m. if you so desire.
We're soft serve soulmates. That's one of my favorite parts. I like it. So now we know a little bit about you, about me. Let's go and hear a little more about Miss Gillian Madill.
I'm so excited.
So thank you so much to the lovely Gillian Madill, who is joining us from San Francisco. If you somehow don't know, she is one of my favorite admin evangelists at Salesforce. She also is the co-host of the ButtonClickAdmin Podcast, so she gets to be on the other side of the microphone this time and talk a little bit more about her. So welcome, Gillian.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so fun to be on the other end, and I'm so excited for podcasts that Kristi, you, and Melinda have started.
Oh, exciting.
Thanks for having me.
So I, have listened to you on Button Click for a while. We've, of course, met by now at a few events, and I'm super excited to see you soon at Dreamfest. But I had never really cyberstalked you effectively, so I was so curious looking at your LinkedIn and kind of curious to hear, and if you've ever talked about it before, I forget, how you started from bioethics at Berkeley and ended up being the queen of the awesome admin lodge.
But wait, for us newbies out here, can you explain what bioethics is before you talk about how you left it?
Yeah, absolutely. I know, it's funny. I never really think about it until people point it out to me that, like, what the heck are you doing in this role? Because this path did not obviously lead to this thing.
I mean, confetti cannons are great, but I don't think that's where you started.
I have a long history of training in confetti cannonry. Yeah, it's funny, actually. So I never thought in a million years that I'd be working A, for corporate America, B, in a technology space. I went to Berkeley, decided to make it my own major because I was always a huge biology nerd. I loved everything marine biology growing up, as I know lots of people do, and then realized it probably wasn't a sustainable career if I wanted to continue living in San Francisco. So I got really into bioethics as looking at kind of new biotechnologies, like things that really were fascinating, kind of crazy. I don't know if anyone is a big Michael Crichton reader, but he wrote this book called Next that was all about kind of genetically modified animals and maybe gene doping in humans, and then synthetic biology where they create entirely new life forms as fuel sources. So that stuff was kind of really happening on the edges of kind of the lab frontier when I was in college, and I was just fascinated by it. I thought, hey, this is a cool way where I could be involved with biology, but yet kind of not have to take organic chemistry and, spend my life in a lab and really focus on kind of the environmental and societal impacts of these new technologies. Was super into it. I ended up working for an environmental nonprofit in DC for a couple years, doing campaigning, doing congressional testimony, getting paid absolutely nothing. And I think I had my moment of what the heck am I doing with my life was when I was working 4 or 5 nights a week at a steakhouse slinging steaks, yet I was by day working on a sustainable meats campaign. So that was a very clear sign that it was, what am I doing? So I view that as kind of my grad school experience, because then I came back to San Francisco and really didn't have a job. I didn't have anything lined up. I just knew that I belonged in San Francisco. I missed being by the water and I missed being in an amazing city. Loved my time in DC, but I couldn't deal with that whole winter thing, even though there's not a whole lot of winter that happens in DC. Too much for this California girl.
Yes, preach.
So I landed back in San Francisco in September of 2009. So actually almost exactly, 7 years ago. And without a job, had some friends that were working in the tech space, because that's the cool, amazing thing that everybody was doing straight out of college. But I was, I want to work in a nonprofit. I want to save the world. And the way that I was doing it didn't work. So how do I figure out a way to do that and make money? This is hard. And after about 6 months of not having a job, I had a friend that was like, hey, I'm working at this company, Salesforce. I know it's not really what you want to do, but trust me, it's a great place to get in. You could get a good job and you might like the people that work there. So I interviewed for an administrative assistant position here at Salesforce, and I got hired. I got hired as an admin assistant. Here I am thinking, oh my God, this is not the trajectory I wanted my career to go in. What am I doing? But then I started getting really involved in Salesforce and was pretty impressed with the people I was working with. I loved the VP I was supporting. She was a really great leader. And after about a year of that, she promised me, hey, you do give me a year and then I will help you transition to whatever you want to transition to. So after a year of doing that, I started a communications role, and the rest kind of is history. I did that for about 3 years. And my communications role was communicating changes out to Salesforce admins. So things like when we were doing a release or retiring a feature or, doing a migration or a split with infrastructure. Mm-hmm. And then 3 years ago, I started talking with Sarah Franklin over coffee, and we're like, hey, we should do something for admins. Like, we have this whole developer relations program. What about our admins? And here we are. Now we have an entire program. We've got a huge team of people dedicated to admins, and it's been so amazing to watch it grow. And I've discovered this huge passion for really helping admins and empowering others and getting people excited and transforming their careers. I mean, the stories I hear from the people I get to meet are just, oh my God, it rocks my world sometimes. And that's what feeds me. Good. That's what I like to hear.
I love that you had such an awesome girl boss moment with your boss. Like, give me a year and I'll support you. I don't know. I always get chills when I hear about amazing women supporting other women and accidentally being somebody's mentor and propelled you to where you are now, which you have become a mentor for a lot of us and supported us. So it's like a nice girl boss trickle down effect.
Seriously, that just gave me warm fuzzies when you said that. Because I've been fortunate to find some really, really awesome female leaders to work with. And in fact, my entire time working at Salesforce, I've only had female managers. So it's been pretty awesome. It's unique for a tech space, but I have really had some great managers. And, Salesforce, we change a lot of managers a lot of the time, but every single one has been a woman, and I've had a really, really great experience with that.
That's awesome. What about the volunteer adminning? Kristi pinged me this, and I am sorry that I adore you and I don't know what that means. I'm guessing you do admin work pro bono? Am I making this up?
And got certified, and then am I right that you volunteered with the Humane Society?
So, all right. So this is kind of a two-part answer. I have done a ton of volunteering since working at Salesforce because of our amazing foundation structure with our 1-1-1 model. I've done tons of work with all kinds of different organizations. With getting my admin certification, one of the things that I really wanted to do was actually do pro bono work instead of just, spending time with other nonprofits, helping them do things. I have yet to really put that into action. However, the organization that I did adopt my dog from 2.5 years ago, called NorCal Family Dog Rescue, I have been working with them on and off, talking about how they can improve their use of Salesforce. I have yet to actually take a lot of action on that because we've always got a zillion things to do here at Salesforce. So I'm fully guilty of signing up for something and wanting to do it without actually making the time to do it. But it is a goal for post Dreamforce, and I now am committing live to everyone
I was
that
just
this is going to happen.
I'm sorry that I called you to the carpet, but now you're committed.
Totally committed.
But you can probably take Rex along with you and just like hang out with other dogs.
Well, yeah. I mean, Rex is the awesome admin dog. Although Holly Palmer, who's on our team planning the entire admin zone, brought in her dog today, Henry, who is some kind of a chestnut brown doodle, and he is adorable as well. So there's lots of dog action happening on the awesome admin team these days.
That's my favorite. It like brings all my favorite things together in one thing. So you started this awesome admin team, which tip of the hat. What's that even phrase I'm talking about? To Mary Scotton, that somebody started talking about something over coffee. I love it. And then brought in Mike at some point, and then became a podcast co-host. So that's been, at least a few years now. How do you feel like, what were you kind of thinking when you started that versus how you feel about it now with managing the co-hosting responsibility?
So the first time I recorded a podcast, I was terrified. I had listened to some of Mike's podcasts prior to him joining Salesforce. And then we took about probably a 6-month break of podcasts when he joined Salesforce and that whole transition, because Salesforce had never done a podcast before. We had no idea what the rules were about that, what we couldn't say, how much we need to get approvals, all of that. Thankfully, we found a very good system where basically we are able to say most of what we want to say. We've never gotten in trouble, knock on wood, yet. But it was so awkward. Podcasting is a really cool medium, but it is so hard to get used to it. I'll send you the link to the first one I did, and it's very obvious if you listen to it. It was actually with a thought leader. I totally forget his name, but he's famous for not using email and only going to Twitter. And I was the stiffest person. Like, you listen to it and I'm like, yes. And so what did you think about that? And I was so terrified of talking over someone and saying the wrong thing. And then listening to it, I could just hear myself breathing into the mic. And every time I would laugh, it'd be like, it was just, oh my God, it was so painful. But about 10 episodes in, as Mike said, totally felt better. It definitely was one of those. He said it's going to take about 10 episodes for you to feel comfortable on the mic, and he was totally right. So Mike is the master who has taught not only me how to podcast, but now there's 2 other Salesforce podcasts officially from HQ, and he has totally taught them the tips and tricks of the trade. So it's pretty cool. He's definitely the podcast ambassador for Salesforce.
Ooh, I've heard the marketing cloudcast. What else do we have?
So there's an internal one that they do for our sales organization. So I guess it doesn't typically count as a traditional podcast. And there's talks of a couple other ones starting soon. So it's kind of fun to watch how each department does it a little different.
Well, and it's interesting too. I mean, we've talked before. Melinda has a longer commute. And so now that I have a shorter commute, I'm kind of like behind, And so it's funny that I'm like upset that I want more time to listen to people that, because you just either learn things or just relatable. It's just fun to listen to, but now I don't have as much time.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, I didn't listen to a whole lot of podcasts before Mike was like, hey, we're doing a podcast together. You should probably listen to some podcasts. And I was like, oh, okay, now I'm a total podcast nerd. Like, I listen to probably 2-3 podcasts every day when I'm getting ready in the morning, when I'm on the bus, or if I'm walking the dog. I'm a total nerd about like the TED Talks podcast that NPR does. I love Invisibilia. Oh my God, my favorite podcast in the entire world. I mean, I nerd out now on Mike Rowe, who did Dirty Jobs. That guy does an amazing podcast. It's like 7 minutes long.
The way I heard it.
Yes, it's so good. So yeah, now I'm a total podcast nerd, and I could go on and on about all the ones that I like, but there you go.
I could too. I'll just tell you my favorite one because I feel like everyone should know it. Call Your Girlfriend. It's 2 besties, and they either talk together or interview someone. Always very topical, women focused. It's definitely one of my favorite. And I love Undisclosed, which came from Serial, which they're doing a new case, because I'm just in. I'm totally in. I'm like sitting in my car in the garage, have to remember to turn the car off so I don't accidentally asphyxiate myself because I'm listening to the end of a podcast, right?
Or like my husband will come out and be like, "Why are you sitting in the driveway? The dogs are getting all excited." And I'm like, "I only have a minute left. I need to finish listening to this."
Do you have any like advice as far as, oh my gosh, this was my biggest downfall, or this is my new favorite thing, you guys should try and do this?
So the thing that has been a wild fan favorite is our lightning round. The lightning round has been super fun, and I totally copied the lightning round from another podcast that I really like. It's actually kind of an amalgamation of a couple podcasts, but I'm a CrossFit nerd and I listen to the Wadcast podcast. And so they do like a kind of a lightning round-ish thing there. And then there's also another podcast that I really like and I listen to, and it's called Another Round. And it's hosted by two amazingly wonderful Black ladies, and they have the funniest questions. Yeah, they ask the funniest questions. Like they had an amazing Hillary Clinton interview. Anyway, so kind of the reformatting that we did about 1.5 years ago of the podcast was a reflection of me listening to so many over the month of December last year. And the lightning round is great because it's short, quick answers, and then you get kind of the same data from every guest. And it's kind of fun, like, which release logo would you be? And by far, we've got a chart. There's like 15 people said ice cream truck,
Love it.
So it's pretty fun.
Yeah, we tried a similar thing with the question that we'll ask you at the end, at least picking one. So we have this fun library of different answers from different guests, but the same question. But I like the lightning round, kind of rapid fire, put it out there. What's your favorite drunk food, or what time do you get up in the morning, whatever. Yeah.
What I think is so funny about those things is I've listened enough now that I know the lightning round is coming. But then, like, I wonder if guests, like, do you have guests that actually don't know they're going to get lightning rounded?
So, yeah, it's interesting because we have a mixture of guests, right? We have guests who are like diehard Salesforce community people, are, been an admin or been an MVP, like they're all about it. And then, when we have guests that are maybe a Salesforce customer or interact with Salesforce, but aren't really dialed into the community, they're surprised. They're all about it, but they're surprised. The other funny thing is we'll get guests that come on that are fully prepared to answer the lightning round questions. And so we intentionally switch it up on them. We're like, nope, you're not getting those questions. We're going to give you new ones.
No
it's all about
chatty or sassy for you.
That's devilish. I love it.
Well, because I always think about that when I watch Property Brothers. Like, you're going on Property Brothers. Obviously, the first house you see is the trick house that has everything you want, but that's too expensive. Like, watch it one time or two, and you understand that's how the formula works. Don't look so surprised. But
yeah, I'm sure they get coached. Wasn't there like a TV show about filming a reality TV show and how like unreal it was?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure
I think it's called Unreal or something like that.
The opposite of reality.
Yeah, well, on the other hand, too, like we have learned to not send our guests questions beforehand because we have had guests that basically as soon as we start the podcast, we'll just start reading off their answers to the questions. And we're like, hold on. So it's interesting. You have to gauge the guest and their level of comfortability with being on the podcast or being interviewed. It's really fun. I mean, meeting all these people. I mean, I meet a new person basically every single week, which is amazing.
Well, and you all probably have a little more targeted goals of content that you want to, a goal that you want to achieve. I'm just happy to chat with you for 15 minutes, regardless. So there's no like point at the end necessarily, right? So
yeah, yes and no. We try to not make ours marketing-y focused. Like we'll do something talking about maybe some new trailhead content, but we specifically don't be like, hey, your team has a new feature. Let's promote it on the podcast. I mean, if it's something we really think admins will get like a lot out of, then we'll pull someone like an Eric Jacobson or someone who's actually created it on and ask them really cool questions to get the story behind Process Builder or, custom home pages, like stuff that is like really different. But it's we kind of do a little more free form, I think, than probably the Marketing Cloudcast or some other ones might be a little more targeted towards.
Which
I'm terrible if it's too scripted. Like I have done a lot of training, and I have had a boss who was like, let's really map it out. And I do, but if I have exact text is when I sound ridiculous. When like you said, when you sound stiff, I'm like, welcome to my training. Please open the URL. Like it doesn't work. I have a bullet point and then I need to chat, because if I don't chat or ad lib, it sounds, for me, I sound bananas.
Yeah. I mean, there's a level, you just have to not be nervous, right? I think one of the things that we spend a lot of time on when we do podcasts with people who are a little nervous is we'll spend the first 20 minutes just chit chatting with them on Skype, just to get them loose. Let's talk about the weather today. What did you do this morning? And then they get comfortable. As soon as you tell them you're recording, though, sometimes you hear this. Yeah. Yeah. And then by the end, they're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. And you're like, yeah, we told you.
Did you think I was going to
just a conversation? We just happened to be recording. Just think of me as the CIA.
Well, it's funny because
always listening.
when you listen to the Nerdist, I feel like so many of their episodes, it's like, oh, are we recording? They're like, oh yeah, we turned it on. Like they don't like have a moment, they just start talking, because then they record an intro later. So it just is like, now here's the thing. And then they just start talking. So it's great. But people are always like, wait, do we start? Like, what's happening? So I like it.
Yeah. And Mike and I do a similar thing. We won't record the intro and the wrap up with the guest on the line. We'll just start talking. And then Mike will be like, okay, so I'm going to welcome you to the podcast. And so that's how we get sometimes some fun clips that Mike tends to make into little clips that go on Twitter and all over the internet.
Live forever.
Yeah.
That's why we like to Skype. I like to see your face. I feel like I would be more stiff if I can't give you my nod and my emphatic talking with my hands and like the big eyeballs. Like I like to see the interaction, or it does feel like, is it my turn? Should I talk now? Oops, did you pause? Because then I can see you guys.
Although,
yeah,
I'll be
it's
honest,
really smart.
I spend like a quarter of the time looking at my own face to make sure that I don't look weird to you.
Kristi, you look amazing.
Having a good hair day.
Mirror.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite podcasts are the ones that we're able to do with everybody in the same room. And you can hear the difference too when you listen to them. Be like, okay, there's real chemistry there. You can see everyone, because we don't use the video feature of Skype. We probably should. I might take a tip from this and see if Mike and I can change that going forward.
Our hashtag life goal is to record at Dreamforce, but we're trying not to pressure ourselves too much. So if it happens, yay, you'll see it and it'll be there. And if not, then we'll just hug and hang out and not pressure ourselves, because there's plenty of there's like FOMO for days, so I don't need
FOMO for days. Hashtag FOMO for days
to make it worse.
Is that for DAYZ? Like
it is right now.
Right, it is. Because even the they're working for a partner now. There's things that they're going to want me to attend to be a legit partner adult, and I'm like, that's during the admin keynote, so probably not going to be there. Like, let's be honest. So,
do you get to stay in a hotel, Gillian, or do you going to go home?
So I live in the city. Moscone is closer to my house than the office is. So yeah, I mean, it's because every transit thing is going to be nuts that week. I'll probably cheat and maybe like Uber it or taxi it a few times. But yeah, I mean, it's nice. I get to go home with my dog and, the man friend and everything is.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that they've brought in, if it's not new, but they brought it up, is the bikes, the biking to stations, which I thought is great because I always forget to get cash for the pedicabs. And somewhere in the success community, we were chatting about the possibility of the bikes. So I don't know if that's new, but I'm super excited that I have a bike option and then call it working out and then be done.
Oh,
yeah, that's awesome.
Ride a bike, not a pedicab?
Yeah, you check them into the little stations. I don't know if you set up an account before. You can. You don't have to. And you can just do a drop-in and then you take it to another location. And it sounds like they've tried to make it a little bit easier this year for extra locations. I don't remember seeing it last year, but I love the bike sharing. We had it in Denver. It's fairly new out here in Long Beach, and it's brilliant.
Well, I will say for hashtag shameless plug, Map Anything has the Dreamforce 2016 buses app that you can download that gives you live tracking of the Dreamforce buses. And the cool thing about it, number one, you can search for points of interest. Number two, and again, yes, I'm biased, but I also still think it's cool. You can look for the next bus that's coming and set a text alert, just like Uber. Like when it's about there, it'll text you to go get on the bus.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, so if you're staying at an official hotel, I think that, or even, near an official hotel, I think that's going to be a great resource. Because, I mean, we've known there's buses there, but aside from the concert, I never waited for the bus. So
yeah, and to be fair, the concert this year is pretty far from Moscone. So it's funny, they're calling it the Cloud Palace. It's normally called the Cow Palace. It is also where I went to my first ever concert as a kid at New Kids on the Block.
Yes!
But I think that's the last time I was there. So that was in 1991,
something,
maybe?
Yeah.
Nice.
Although it's in Daly City, right? Which is right near where there's a Krispy Kreme right next to an In-N-Out.
So it's not necessarily in Daly City. It's technically Brisbane. It's really not close to anything, honestly. Okay. It's it would have been close to where Candlestick Park used to be, but Candlestick Park is now no longer there. Yep. It's a cool, it's huge location. But yeah, if you are going to the Dreamfest this year, definitely plan on taking the bus because other transit possibilities are pretty limited. It'll be really fun.
I have to admit that I'm considering not going because it sounds like I might be trapped. And I know that sounds silly. I do have a child and a husband, but I freak out at overcommitment. And I was like, what if I get out there and I want to leave? So I panic. I'm like, maybe I won't go. I don't know if I want to go. What if I can't get home? No one will ever I have to sleep at the Cow Palace, apparently, I think. But I am considering not going because it's so far.
Well, I think there'll be buses running round trips. So, last year I pieced out of I realized I was watching the Foo Fighters on a screen, even though I was standing and they were a couple hundred feet from me. I still was not seeing them. So I heard, the songs that I liked, and then I was kind of done standing for the day. And, so they had buses running the whole time. So we'll get you home.
They'll do a good job doing that. But yeah, it's not like being in the heart of downtown. So
you can check the app and find a bus.
Right.
Or I could just chill out and relax. I don't need to be anywhere, for goodness sake.
Yeah, but you're going to be there and you're going to hear everyone talking about it and they're going to tease you with U2 songs all week and you're just going to be like, I need to go.
Yeah.
Just
you'll find a friend.
Relax. I will find a friend.
You could even just stand up and be like, love me. And someone will love you.
Well, the only reason I know it's far is because when we were talking in the success community about the bikes, I had typed in the comments, oh my gosh, how cool, could we ride a bike there? Then I pulled up the map, went back to my comment, edited, deleted that portion because I see that is a crazy task, but I must not have deleted it fast enough because she was like, yeah, no, you do not want to ride a bike out to the Cow Palace.
Your calves will not thank you.
Yeah.
Probably not through some of those neighborhoods as well. Not the best idea.
I was like, oh no, that's way farther because the pier was kind of far last year, but not too bad.
It was still in the city though.
Yeah.
All right, that's a great. See, I talked about natural segues earlier. Speaking of not a great idea, we have one.
Is it natural if you call it out?
Well, now it's not.
Smooth.
Now it's not.
Thanks, team. I was going to let you ask the question since you're so excited about it, but now you're giving me nonsense. What? Oh, me. Oh, I'm asking it. What would you say was your biggest Salesforce screw up? It could be for one of these volunteer things. Oh, you already have an answer.
Yeah.
I don't need to prompt you what you think. You're ready.
This is a special exclusive piece of information here. So it's not technically a screw up with using Salesforce, the app. But if you were at Dreamforce last year and you were at the admin lodge going into the admin keynote, you may remember a part of the admin keynote where they did a live feed to Gillian on Periscope down in the admin lodge. And who happened to be in the admin lodge but Mr. Benioff himself. So this was an amazing, wonderful win. It was like totally unplanned that he was going to be there. It was super exciting. You know, Adam Seligman, our SVP, had made this all happen. He comes walking up, and I am with my selfie stick and ready to do live periscoping from the admin lodge, feeding into the keynote. And I go up and I just kind of attack Mark, and I'm like, hey, see, check out all the great people in the admin, like everyone's in the admin keynote, say hello. And he looks at it and he says, why are there only 6 people viewing? Like, it was deadpan, just like, why are you doing this? There's no point to you doing this. And I'm like, awesome. Thanks, Mark. You're amazing.
Keynote.
Yeah. And it was just one of those moments I was like so nervous because I'm like, yeah, so this is Mark, who's humongous and my big boss. And it's, you know, kind of a big moment here. And it's a huge win that I got this. And this could be amazing. And he looks into the camera and grumpily says, why are there only 6 people watching? So that got cut from the actual like YouTube video if you look at it now. Awesome. But I was like, oh my God, am I going to get fired? What's going on? Like, they took him an extra 2 weeks to get that video ready to go on the site because they didn't want that image of Mark out there. So if you're listening to this podcast, please do not like, you know, let everybody know that I'm sharing it with the world. But yeah, it was definitely one of those moments. We're fine. Everything's cool now. But
we're totally cool now.
What's so funny is I was sitting there with my like bang sticks making noise, and I probably was like, "Oh my God, it's Mark Benioff!" Like I probably didn't even hear it. So, I mean,
that was the feedback as well. They were like, "Don't worry, nobody heard that." I'm like, "Yeah, but he's like, you know, sternly looking into the camera and being like, why are there only 6 people?" And I'm trying to be like, because they're all upstairs. Anyway, so probably not the kind of answer you were looking for, but I thought that was
that's my favorite answer. I mean, you're like the second person we've asked, but so far.
Yes.
I like that. Could be our, if we're talking to Salesforce people, biggest Salesforce screw up does not necessarily imply that you're logged into Salesforce. So this is good open interpretation of this question.
Yeah, I'm good at that. I make up my own definitions here, so.
I appreciate the periscopes. I'm excited to be back at the admin keynote, sitting with people who are going to be loud, because last time I was not an MVP and I was sitting by myself because I just didn't find anyone to sit with, and I was sitting behind these quiet people and I was banging my sticks. I was going for it. It was like one of the last things. I was having a great old time. I'm like, they gave you sticks to make noise, and these people turned around and looked at me like people do in the movie theater, and I wanted to be like, what? There's confetti cannons, okay? What?
You are at Dreamforce, for goodness sake. Yeah, come on.
Get excited. So I'm happy to, this time I'll make sure to sit with other people that will be loud with me, so at least it's not just me.
Well, hopefully we'll foster an environment where everyone will feel excited to be loud. You know, that's the solution. And, you know, shameless plug coming here. Dreamforce is right around the corner. And so, yes, you don't want to miss the admin keynote. It is 5 p.m. on Thursday. So it's a good way to round out the most of the week. So it's going to be awesome. I just got a sneak peek into some of the things we're doing, and it's going to be amazing.
Very exciting. I love the keynotes. I don't think I will ever get non-verklempt at Benioff's keynote. I don't care how many times I go. I am all in the moment, and I love the videos, and I love every keynote. I'm just feeling the energy from everybody, unless, you know, you sit behind the people you sat behind last year. But I love the keynotes. I'm excited. 5 p.m. Thursday.
5 p.m. Thursday, yes.
I love it. We're excited to see you next week.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited that you're starting a podcast. This is so cool. I love that it's a total girl gang podcast. We need more female voices out in the masses. I love it. It's so amazing.
All right. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
I feel so honored to have talked to her. She is Salesforce famous to us. I'm so glad she came on the podcast. And she sounds all like smooth and polished, like she's done nothing but shows her whole life.
We'll get there. I'm excited to see you next week.
Yes, I get to see you next week. And I want to talk about one thing is Matt Kaufman has helped me. He's with MK Partners, I believe. He helped me with this app. It's called Salesforce for Social Media, just a nice little free app that is helping me automate point count for, drumroll, the WIT Photo Hunt.
Yes.
Second annual. Super excited about it. We're doing an at-home version. We're doing a Dreamforce version. It's very simple. Take the picture, hashtag the category, and then tag the account. And I have it all automated. Last year, I would go to my room and sometimes have to hold a hand over one drunken eye while I took point counts. So now I don't have to do this. So I'm thankful to him. I'm thankful to you, to Amy Opplinger, to Laura Gunther, and to Shyla over at Aptus. Everyone is helping out a lot. It's going to be awesome, and I am very, very excited about it. I will continue to tweet about it, but that's my shameless plug. Wit Photo Hunt, Twitter handle at Wit Photo Hunt.
I mean, that's what brought us together last year.
It's our love story.
That's right. If anyone has not found me by Thursday at Dreamforce, I will be in the admin meadow working at the welcome desk for all the little Ask the Expert kind of sessions because I didn't feel expert enough to do a thing, but I wanted to do the thing. So I'll be at there. I will have my swings on so you can see
what?
my... Oh, well, I have these lightning bolts that go on their shoes that Misty Jones turned me on to. And I happen to get some sparkly ones today, so I'm pretty excited about it.
That's awesome.
We will see you all super soon. Maybe we'll record during Dreamfest. We'll see Dreamfest, considering I already can't pronounce it. We might just have wine instead.
As always, some Two-Wit podcast love to our producer, Kara Walters. She is making our life so much better and polished and editing out all the shenanigans. Well, the bad shenanigans. We're keeping in the good shenanigans.
And to that I say, stay witty.
Woohoo!